Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, where you are joining us in the world. And welcome to another week, another exciting week of the crypto market updates, where I will see from Breakout Solutions cover for you all the latest news, updates, Twitter highlights, market watch, as well as adoption highlights of what's happening in the crypto world. And it has been an amazing week over the past couple of weeks with a lot of great news happening in crypto and also not such great news. So we're going to go through all of that and get started straight into it. So let's dive right in and look at what the SEC are doing right now. So the SEC has approved the first leveraged Bitcoin futures ETF. So you guys may have heard, or you guys would have heard me speaking about the BlackRock ETF that they applied for, I think, last week or the week before, which has brought a lot of news, a lot of noise around Bitcoin. It made Bitcoin pump, and it's now over 30,000. It did hit 31,000 earlier, I mean, like yesterday or something. Now, what the SEC has actually done, they haven't approved the BlackRock ETF. They have approved a leveraged Bitcoin ETF. So the difference is between the leverage ETF or a futures ETF and a spot ETF is a futures ETF is a leverage. So they borrow money to bet on the future price of Bitcoin. A spot ETF basically just buys and sells the Bitcoin price at what it is right now. Spot ETF is a much safer ETF because it gives people access or exposure to Bitcoin without actually owning Bitcoin. And it doesn't have any leverage. So the great thing about, or the thing about leverage and why some people like leverage is if you get it right, you make a lot of money. So 2x leverage is if you put $10 down, you can make $20 back. But if it goes against you, you can lose a lot more money also. So the fact that the SEC has allowed the what's the name called on the Chicago board option CBOE, and it's called the BitX ETF, has caused quite a bit of havoc in the community, with a lot of crypto enthusiasts saying this is crazy. How could SEC approve a futures or leverage ETF before approving a spot ETF? So in a lot of other countries like Canada, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, a lot of these countries have ETFs, and a lot of them do have spot ETFs. Like we have a spot ETF here in Australia. There's a spot ETF in Canada, but obviously America being the biggest market in the world, biggest economy in the world, they not having an ETF there hinders Bitcoin. So this is why BlackRock is trying to come in now. And with the SEC allowing a futures or a leverage ETF, it actually goes against, or it puts investors more at risk because they're actually going for something that is leverage. When you leverage, you're taking more risk. And this is why we're seeing people like Eric Balkanar saying the 2x Bitcoin ETF has become effective, scheduled to launch Tuesday, which is today, or tomorrow in America. I was doubtful it would happen, but it looks like it's official. Could this be early signs SEC is lining up after Bito launched? I believe they made earlier 2 times filter withdrawals. So when we look back at the Bitcoin ETF saga in 5 to 10 years, this will be one of the most ridiculous aspects. A 2x leverage futures product launching before a straightforward spot ETF. Wild. So a lot of the Bitcoin enthusiasts out there are pointing at the fact that the market, the SEC is actually now allowing a more risky Bitcoin ETF to be in the market and not a safe one like the spot ETF. And as you guys know, there's been many companies, ARK Invest, Fidelity, have also applied for ETFs in the past, but they were rejected. Now BlackRock is coming in. So this is causing a lot of havoc in the market. And meanwhile, the price of the ETF has gone up by 3.4%, and the Bitcoin price rallied, touching 31,000 on Saturday, and it was a 3.4% gain. So Bitcoin has been gaining, I think, about 17% over the past week or so, the last couple of weeks, on the news of all the ETFs. This is all setting up for a big bull market coming up, guys, and we're going to get into that. And this is exactly what Bitwise CEO calls for a multi-year bull market starting now as institutional investors eye up Bitcoin. So as we've seen, now that BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager, is applying and has applied for a Bitcoin ETF, it means, excuse me, guys, I got a bit of I'm a little bit sick. It means that it will actually validate Bitcoin as a legitimate investment option for a lot of people out there. So even though all of us here in the cryptoverse, we believe in the longevity of Bitcoin, we believe in the ethos of Bitcoin, there's still a lot of people out there in the world that still don't believe in Bitcoin and don't know what Bitcoin is. So with BlackRock coming in, what the CEO is actually saying is, his name is Matt Hoogan. He says that this is incredibly bullish for crypto and Bitcoin, because it's now showing a real institutional interest in Bitcoin and crypto, and they're coming in for this. So he says prices have actually been rising since last November after the FTX debacle. He goes, so this has been climbing a wall of worry, and now we have BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, putting its flag in the ground and saying Bitcoin matters. And it's an asset that institutional investors will want to own for the next 5 to 10 years. I think we've entered a new era of crypto. I call it the mainstream era of crypto, and I think we've entered into a multi-year bull market that's just getting started now. The CEO also forecasts new growth chapter beyond that, beyond just asset prices. He said that crypto equities are now on the verge of blossoming, and predicts a big wave of new crypto companies entering the stock market, and it talks about IPOs and the like. And one of the things I've been saying for you guys is, this next bull market, I believe we're going to see more and more countries coming in, and more countries adopting Bitcoin as a risk against inflation, or legal tender. And we're seeing now BlackRock coming in, validating or legitimizing Bitcoin. You're going to see more and more countries around the world eyeing out Bitcoin and saying, hey, could this be a solution? Especially with what's happening with El Salvador, people are going to go, well, hang on, what has El Salvador done? What's the case study? What have they done for the country? What's the country looks like? And then from there, I think more and more countries will actually start moving across. So Bitcoin news, Bitcoin price might surge 10% in coming days. So this has come from a crypto analyst called Captain Fabik, who is on Twitter, and he basically said the Bitcoin market has demonstrated stability above 30,000 over the past 5 days, indicating the likelihood of a bullish momentum in the days to come. Additionally, the completion of the bullish 6-month candle for Bitcoin is expected to initiate a bullish trend in the upcoming years. A Bitcoin trade around 30.3K during early New York market hours on Monday. The bulls face a new final hurdle of 31,000K to be able to reach a new all-time high for the year. So he's basically said that looking at the pendant and the hourly time frame, there could be another 10% rally coming up, which could mean that Bitcoin can go up to 33,000. Now, if you're watching yesterday, my colleague Matt came on and he predicted a $38,000 Bitcoin if the FOMC meeting comes out positive. So we're seeing a lot of noise, a lot of news and noise around Bitcoin. We're seeing a lot of people coming in and starting to invest. And you'll see that the fear and greed index, when we come to it in a moment, that we are actually in greed at the moment. So looking at the crypto bubbles, and we're seeing over the past week a sea of green. Only one or only a few like XRP, SUI, what's this one, Trust Wallet. These have been in the red, but the majority has actually been in the green. With Bitcoin Cash, I don't even know why people invest in Bitcoin Cash or BSV. Both of these are, for me, I would not even touch them, but they are up 108% and 47.8%. Bitcoin is up 12%, and that's really all that matters to me. As long as Bitcoin is pumping, the rest will follow. Looking at the cryptocurrency map, we're seeing that Bitcoin is down about 0.5% in the last 24 hours, with Ethereum down about 1.32%. So not much happening here, guys. The market is going sideways at the moment, which usually happens after a pump. We've spoken about this. It goes and then goes sideways, goes up, then goes sideways, it goes down, and then goes sideways for a little bit, and then makes its move. Bitcoin will do what Bitcoin wants to do. That's the short answer. Looking at the fear and greed index, guys, we are now at a 59 out of 100. So we are now in greed. Last week we were in neutral, and then last month we were also in neutral over the whole month. But now we're starting to see more and more people. We've been saying this over and over again. This year is the year to be accumulating, because between now and end of the year, between now and really the end of March, I should say, so the next 9 months is where Bitcoin is going to start rallying and going up and up and up. And then once the halving comes, when we're really going to start seeing major moves of Bitcoin. And I'm about to show you guys a really interesting tweet that I found that shows you the prices and the price of Bitcoin going up and down over the years, over the past 10 years or so. So we'll get to that in a moment. We'll move over to the Twitter highlights. And I haven't been doing my banners, and I know that my friend over there in Matt is going to give me crap about this. So Willy Woo, who's a world-renowned economist, he's come out and a Bitcoin bull. He goes, if this move completes, here's a chart to give an idea of how much room we have to move before it's fundamentally overheated. He goes, by fundamentals, I mean what's happening across the Bitcoin network, miners, cost basis of latest investors, experience, hands, selling, technicals, etc. Basically, he said that Bitcoin can actually reach 40,000K in the next month. So it could actually be in July, where we have a $40,000 Bitcoin, which is something we haven't seen in a long, long time. I remember during the last bull market, every time when Bitcoin went down to 40,000, like, oh shit, Bitcoin is not going to go below this. Then it went to 30, and then we're okay, so I want to go below 30. Then it went to 20, and then went down to 15. But that's just the way how the bear markets work, because we weren't expecting such a sudden end to the bear market, to the bull market. Next up, this is the tweet I was telling you guys about. So this is from a guy called Hunter Horsley. And he says, "What if it's not different this time?" And indeed, we're in the waking moment of the next crypto bull market, catalyzed by mainstream institutions finally creating access and market structure, regulatory clarity within arm's reach, and mainstream consumer brands building on-chain experiences like Nike. And then he goes on and he brings up his this table, I should say. So this table is from Bitwise Asset Managers, and what they're showing here, the Bitcoin price since 2011 to now. So 2011, it went up by 1,474%. 2012, 186. 2013, 5,537%. So you can see here the diminishing returns, but we still have a lot of room to grow. So Bitcoin in 2015, 34%. 125, 139, and then in the bear market, 74%. So we had the bear market last year, which is 2020, and then we see that 2019 Bitcoin went up 94%, 308, 57%, and then back down 65%. And now we're already up 66% year to date. What will 2024 and 2025 bring? We don't know, but we do know that in 2026 we'll probably enter another bear market. So keep this in mind, guys. The next 2 years is the time to be really, or now is the time to be getting in, and the next 2 years time to be reaping your rewards. Moving on to Mikhail de Van de Pop, and we'll wait for this to load up. Come on. They don't love it when technology works against you. Okay, so he goes, the altcoins are slowly getting out of depression. Now it's the time to invest. So he's basically bringing up this chart where he's showing that this is the altcoin. We've gone down. We're down in anger. People were angry last year. People were very, very angry what happened on the FTX. Then it started popping. Now we're back into depression. And then we're going to start going up. So he shows this market trend. Chart, which should be coming up. So he's showing here the psychology of the market cycle. People go into disbelief, then hope, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, complacency, anxiety, denial, panic, blah, blah, blah. Depression is where we are right now. Then we could be up for disbelief, and then we go into the hope. So this is what he's saying, that we are right here right now in 2023. Next year will start going up. There will be some disbelief in the beginning, and then we'll start going to hope and then going up to the next bull run. All right, moving on to our adoption highlights. And some big news coming out of the NEAR protocol. So NEAR protocol Foundation partners with Alibaba Cloud to accelerate Web3 growth in Asia. So basically, they're doing a partnership with Alibaba being the shopping network. Obviously, they've become a technology company. They've got Alibaba Cloud. They're using that to be able to spread across Asia and the Middle East, because Alibaba Cloud works across there. So they can use this technology to accelerate their growth and get to further places. So this news has come about, and NEAR protocol has pumped up by about 10% over the last few days, or the past 24 hours, and it's now trading at $1.25 per coin. Next, we have Spain has given Crypto.com regulatory approval to operate out of Spain. So they got their VASP license, which is the virtual asset service provider, which every company needs to have one in the country that they're working in. So every exchange has to have a VASP from the current from the country they're working in, and now they have the Central Bank of Spain has given approval to Crypto.com to operate. They will have to operate within the MICA legislation, which is now become law next year. But Crypto.com was very, very excited. They said, we're excited to share our latest regulatory achievement in Europe. We have obtained a virtual asset provider registration in Spain. So Crypto.com is a Singapore-based company, and they are been growing over the bear market, trying to get more and more licenses. So they are preparing for the next bull run. Last but not least, guys, and is HSBC rolls out cryptocurrency services in Hong Kong. So we spoke about Hong Kong changing their tune, and they're starting to allow crypto exchanges in June. Last week, I spoke about the Hong Kong government pressuring banks to actually take on crypto exchanges and crypto businesses as customers, versus, which is obviously, in opposition to what's happening in the West, where the SEC is trying to clamp down on banks, and we saw this with, with all the bank crashes and whatnot. So Hong Kong and Shanghai Banking Corporation, the largest bank in Hong Kong, has reportedly introduced its first local cryptocurrency services. So this is not actually holding crypto per se, it's buying ETFs that hold crypto. So remember how I said earlier that an ETF gives you you can buy into an ETF that gives you exposure to the asset without actually holding the asset. They do this across all markets, stock markets and the like, where people might buy an ETF that's an index of a number of different assets. So they don't actually hold the asset, they just have exposure to it. So there are in Hong Kong, there's a Bitcoin ETF, there's a Ethereum ETF, and there's two Bitcoin ETFs. So there's the CSOP Bitcoin futures, there's the Samsung Bitcoin futures, and there's the CSOP Ethereum futures. So now people in Hong Kong and who are customers of the HSBC can now actually can buy these ETFs directly through the bank. This is big news because we're starting to see now large banks adopting cryptocurrencies and offering cryptocurrency services to their customers, which only means that more and more customers are going to start having exposure to Bitcoin. And as they buy, or crypto per se, and as these ETFs grow, so every time someone buys into an ETF, that ETF then has to go buy the crypto and the Bitcoin. So as more and more people buy the ETF, then they're going to buy more crypto, which is going to put the price up. However, as I've said in the past, as retail investors, we want to be holding our own Bitcoin. We want to have our own wallet, but we have the keys all under our own control for our own sovereignty. You don't want to give these banks and these corporations control over the market, even though it's going to bring a lot of retail investors. There's a very, very fine line between good and bad here, because they can then manipulate the markets, and that's what we don't want to see. That's it for me, guys. Remember to, I've got the wrong link up. Remember to make sure that you register for the Future of Money coming up on the 3rd of August. I know it's early. I want to tell you guys about it every single week. Go to breakoutnow.co/Future of Money and register. We will be going live on the 3rd of August. with everything that you need to know about what's happening in the monetary world, whether it's fiat, whether it's the BRICS, whether it's new currencies, whether it's cryptocurrencies, whether it's gold. We're going to cover all of that so you have a great understanding or good understanding of what you need to do to protect yourself. That's it for me, guys. As always, peace out and stay crypto. Bye.